Um, your career to date and everything that you've been going through, um, it really seems like you are on a roll. And regardless of where this planet is in COVID, you just seem to keep improving, keep getting better. And it seems like COVID doesn't even affect you. Is that how you feel right now this year?
I mean, that's really nice, John, but I mean, there's stuff that people don't see, and there's always ups and downs. And I think with COVID, there's been more ups and downs than usual. But I've just tried really to focus on what I can control, and that's something I've always struggled with. I always like to have a full grip on my life and know exactly what I'm doing, but sometimes you just have to let go and ride the wave of life. And I guess that's what I'm trying to do here with triathlon and school here at USD.
That's fantastic. Well, hopefully, any of our viewers that have joined us previously know of your pedigree and your accolades. I've gone through them already through part of the intro. I may have had some technical difficulty, but hopefully they all went through okay. A lot of what we want to talk to you about today is getting a little bit of the bits and bytes and the nuts and bolts of your beginning of the race season. You had Clermont almost 2 weeks ago now, and followed up not even 7 days, but 6 days later with Sarasota. And I know that they were adjusted, or let's say um, downgraded from being PATCO events just due to the COVID pandemic. But in speaking with other athletes, the one thing that they stressed upon me, these were incredibly competitive depth of field events. And it must have felt pretty good to get back racing.
Yeah, it was actually really weird at first, like because we didn't have our usual race meeting or like everyone's there at pre-race. I actually went with my team earlier that morning for pre-race, so I didn't really see many people. We did our swim, bike, run, activation type stuff, and still then I was like, this doesn't feel real. It feels like we're just at a training camp or something. It wasn't until I was actually on the start line that I was like, wow, like we're racing. And like you said, there's some pretty high caliber athletes there. So, and it was a small field. So I knew kind of right off the bat that I had to have a good swim to be in the race. And yeah, it was really weird to be able
Can
to
you
race, but
can you give us an
excited.
idea, returning to that level of racing, uh, can you describe your enthusiasm, what was going through your head getting to the starting line? Was it real? Like, was there an aha moment? Oh, I'm so glad. What was going through your mind getting back to
Um,
that starting line and feeling those butterflies again?
yeah, well, honestly, like I feel like I've been the best mentally before that race than I've been in a while. I just kind of went into it with a like no pressure kind of mindset and just excited to feel all the emotions of race day. So I never really liked race morning. I was always so nervous and hated eating breakfast and everything. But one of my teammates said to me, they're like, you never know, like we don't know how long we're racing triathlon. We don't know what could happen. So we just have to go out there and absorb every like piece of it. And that really stuck with me. And I was like, yeah, like let's just go enjoy it. So like setting up transition with my teammates and just getting ready and obviously nervous, but just more excited more than anything. And just knowing that kind of the work from the past year put into training and recovery and injury prevention like was all kind of being tested. So it was super exciting. And even up to the start line, I was just thrilled to be there, which was really good.
Can you give us that breakdown of how Claremont went with that first race through each of the disciplines? Can you give us what went through your mind and tactically the decisions you made? Give us a race debrief of how that race went and unfolded.
All right. So I actually just watched Dami's interview yesterday. So it's some things are going to be similar. I mean, she blew away from me on the run, but I was ranked kind of near the back of that race, and there was only just under 30 girls in the race. So I didn't get my choice of position really on the start line. But beach starts are my favorite because I have long legs, so I can kind of run through the water. So my
Well,
kind
and
of
you can
mind,
use your size. Let's be real
yeah,
here. You got to use your size.
yeah, I guess that plays to my advantage there. So I just kind of ran in and got some clean water off the start. And then I saw like a group of the elite or the older elite girls kind of on my right. And I've always been a swimmer. Like I've been more, I guess, conservative in the swim. But I've had coaches just push me to use my start speed and get up there. So I decided to get over and get kind of in the mix, get on some hips and some feet, some of the faster girls. And I was able to swim next to Dami and Emily Kretz, I'm pretty sure. And we were able to kind of bridge the gap a little closer to the leaders coming out of the water. So that was really exciting for me. I
So,
think
given your splits, I believe you're only about maybe 10 to 12 seconds behind the two lead girls in the Clermont race. Is that right? So that there
I
was a
think it was
pack of
closer to
you?
30. I think it was closer to 30 in that
Okay.
race than Sarasota. We were
Okay.
closer. But yeah, there was definitely a little bit of a gap. So heading into T1, I think my transition was pretty solid and kind of just had to give her the first little part of the bike to get onto the pack. And I mean, there were quite a few girls in it. So catching the top two girls seemed attainable, but they just kept going. So, um, like Dami kind of talked about, she didn't want to like overdo it on the bike. And me being just out of junior coming into these races, I'd say I was a little more timid, like to put work in on the bike. So, like, I took my couple turns when I thought it was most convenient for me and like the pack. But I was just trying to be smart too. So obviously like getting closer to the front around the 180s. So I didn't like burn all my matches out of the 180s trying to catch up.
How did it feel being in knowing that you had a good swim? You used that aggression well. You had a good swim, good T1, and you're in the mix with Amelie Kretz, Domi, and some of the best international elites there. How did that feel?
It definitely was exciting. I didn't really, like I said, going into the race, I didn't put pressure on myself. And I was just like, let's execute your skill set and focus on one thing at a time. And I think that kind of started to come together. So I just had to keep myself calm and just alert in that pack because with a lot of girls and a rainy course, it can get ugly pretty quick. So I just and here we're on trainers all winter, so I hadn't been on my bike and been around corners in a while. So I definitely was taking them confidently, but also carefully. But yeah, it was super exciting getting to ride with some girls that I've looked up to for a long time in sports. So
Fantastic. So obviously you did well through the entire bike segment, and then you're coming into T2. You want to give us a rundown on T2 into the run?
yeah, I came into T2 at the back of the pack, which is not ideal, but just so happened in like the rotation in the corners, it's hard to get around people. And but I had a pretty good T2. I had some new shoes, so I was breaking them in partially in that race. But on the run, I just tried to get my cadence up right away, and that's something that I've been working on with my coach, and something he always yells at me during the race is cadence, get that up, and kind of lean more in my run because I tend to like lean back and tilt my pelvis. So just more technical things I was focusing on. And um, those older elite girls, they can run and they've had a lot more experience running off the bike and higher mileage on the runs. So definitely ways to go there. But my whole mindset kind of throughout the bike was just hang in there and keep in the mix of the race because we're gapping on people behind us or catching girls ahead of us. And it's just a good experience all around. So I was like, yeah, most of these girls are faster runners than me. But I'm just going to see what I have really. So I was pretty happy with my run in Clermont.
Yeah,
I've been,
I think you should. Like, Ella, just looking at sports stats because we didn't get a chance to see anything live. Splits were really good. In fact, when I was speaking with a former coach of yours, I was worried from one of your public postings. I misinterpreted it when you said that you were looking forward to the race and had such a great time, and you said through all the blood in there. I thought, oh my God, what happened? Did she crash or something?
no,
But
I just had my feet were bleeding pretty bad at the
oh,
end of the race. Yeah, no, no, I didn't crash. I had a teammate actually crash in that race. So that was obviously not good, but yeah.
okay. And then obviously, coach had decided based on geography, you're already in Florida, back to back racing. That's not only are you back into racing, now you've got to put up another effort and in 6 days. What was the tactic through the week leading up to the second race
Oh,
at Sarasota?
yeah. So after my race that day, I did like a bit of a run cool down and then went to watch my NCAA teammates race. So it was kind of a long day. The next day, I felt like trash. My calves were just like cramping, and I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to race again. Like, I was like, my body's in rough shape. I felt like I was 80 years old, but I guess we just took it easy the first few days. Took it really light and just tried to flush everything out. We did a nice scenic bike ride down to Winter Gardens, which was really cool. And then kind of midweek, we started to do some more build and intensity type stuff, just to sharpen my body up again. And coming into Thursday, Friday of the race before the race, I felt pretty good again. So I was like, okay, we've bounced back. Now it's time to get going again. And I guess it's just being really smart with recovery too. Part of me wanted to go out, be in the sun, and do a lot of nice Florida things, but we were pretty disciplined. So and hydrated. That was a big key for me because I don't usually react too well in the heat. So
Well,
a lot of people like
a big climate change for you compared to some of the other athletes. And as you had mentioned, we did interview Domi, and of course, she's been relocated for an extended period of time, so she's probably used to it. Whereas coming from South Dakota, do you still have some snow on the ground, or is it all gone by now?
we I think it just melted.
Yeah.
We had some snow when we got back. So
Okay. Good.
definitely cold.
So you did obviously did the pre-race briefing with the organizers and got ready. And can you debrief us on Sarasota? You know, you had another great race. You were ended up placing 18th there, I believe. Give us an idea of what you think, what you changed or what you learned from the first race, and what you tried to implement going into the second race.
Yeah, so I think going into the second race, I had a bit more confidence just kind of in my swim. And like I said, pool swimming and open water swimming is very different. So I'd put in a lot of work in the pool, but I haven't always been the strongest open water swimmer. So I was really hoping that that would transfer over from the work I put in, strength, paddles, just a lot of stuff kind of in
What's
the
your
pool.
biggest challenge? Is it corners? Is it buoy swimming? What's your biggest challenge when you get in the open water? Is it roughing it up with the girls? What is it?
I'd say just staying calm because when I'm calm, I can really focus on stretching out and keeping my elbows high and my technique and kind of keeping everything together. I think sometimes I panic and try to increase stroke rate to a point where I'm not really holding water as well. So I think just kind of staying calm and it was a bit of a smaller field, so that did help with like the swim start. It was still a little aggressive, but not nearly as bad as some other races I've been in. So I think just kind of stretching out and positioning was a big thing that I've been working on.
Okay. And how did that swim unfold leading into T1?
So I kind of honestly, I felt like garbage in the swim. It wasn't an easy swim day. I felt like Clermont had some more in the tank in the swim, and Sarasota, I just didn't quite feel all there. But I had two teammates out of the water just ahead of me. So I was chasing them down and trying to be smart in the water with positioning with them, and got into T1 and still had quite a ways to go. Not quite a ways, but I knew I had to put in a solid 5 minutes on the bike. So I just kind of got my drops and started going because I had the same mindset as I have to get on that pack because that's the big pack in this race. So I actually got into a pack with Dami, Emily Kretz, one of my teammates, and then one other girl. And we were pushing to have a bit of a break
Mhm.
because, like Dami explained in her interview, that we had enough space behind us that we thought we could possibly get away. Um, and the couple girls ahead of us were creeping back. But then we ended up just being a big group and it was kind of just more of a tactical race at that point, whereas people weren't really trying to make too many moves and it just came down to a foot race once again.
Right. And then leading into T1. Give us a rundown, bike run.
Yeah, so leading into T2, my lower back was pretty tight, I think, and it took me a little bit to get into my rhythm. That's one of my process goals, kind of to work on from here on out, is taking the run out a bit harder and not being afraid. Um, Trusting that fitness will kind of back me up because I think I struggle, and then halfway through the run, I'm like, oh, I feel really good now. Like, which at that point, I mean,
Yeah,
it's a good
it's
thing, I
really
guess,
great when
but
you feel great at the end of the run, eh?
yeah, yeah, I was a bit disappointed in myself there. I was like, oh, something's wrong there. But
Do you think that in your self respect introspection on that, do you feel that that was uh, a tactical element of a decision that you could have changed at some point in the race? And if so, where, if you could go back, where would you make that adjustment?
I feel like coming out of T2, there was one ASU girl not too far ahead of me, and I think that I could have stayed with her and just picked up my cadence and then built the run a little stronger towards the end and possibly got her. That's something that I realized post race, and obviously I can't change now. But my run volume hasn't been high at all. I had a stress reaction last year, and just building back from that, I've been really healthy, knock on wood. So, Coach Kyle and I have done a good job at just trusting the body, kind of, and listening to the body. And if something's a little off, we hold back a bit, and I think that's something really important because it's kept me running healthy, even if my mileage isn't as high, and we still have a lot of room to grow with that mileage. So that's
That's
kind of
great. And you
nice.
mentioned Kyle Joplin is your is the team coach at South Dakota. Um, what, if anything, has he adapted or changed? You mentioned you had an injury or something that was bothering you a little bit. What has he adjusted from last year and learned? Because very often a first year with an athlete, you're both getting to know each other, and not just psychologically and as individuals, but the coach is trying to learn about you and how your body reacts to the training stimulus that the coach prescribes. So now that that year is under your both of your belts, what is he trying to work on with you, both integrating the health issue and into progressive performance? What are you focused on?
So when I got my stress reaction last year, he brought me to a trainer and we talked to a nutritionist to make sure it wasn't an issue there. And it was just a fumble on a run, and something went weird in my muscles, and I'm not really sure what happened. But basically, from there on out, he's been, well, he's always been really patient with me, and we've been really good at communicating back and forth. And I think that's something important, coach athlete, and just not like I'm not afraid to tell him anything. If I don't think something's working for me, I'll tell him. And he's the same with me. So I think that's really important, and just not hiding things. So if something's wrong, not being afraid to say something to miss out on opportunities, but really just kind of for the big picture. And something Kyle's really good at is balance, and he pushes us to do well in our studies and in our lives as a person as well as in athletics. And he doesn't put much pressure, which I enjoy because he has high expectations and he challenges us, but there's never pressure. And I think that's a really healthy environment to be in for me because I already put pressure on myself. um, but yeah, he does a really good job at listening and balancing and being smart, like knows when to push and when to stop. So
Well, that's great. It's great that he's learned how to work with all of his athletes, especially you, and helping you progress forward. Um, Give us a rundown on school. How is being a sophomore at South Dakota and your program that you're in?
yeah, it's really fun, honestly. I've kind of built a good group of friends in my field to study with, and just get to know some more people. And I've got to build some connections with teachers and profs, and which I think will help me down the road to make connections for future internships and jobs. So I really enjoyed it. I'm not technically in the Beacom School of Business yet, but after this year, I'll technically be in it. So it's been good getting most of my credits in and just getting to do it with training. I think it's really cool because it's a good break from training's a great break from school. And
Right.
I enjoy it even more with school because it's not my whole focus.
Well,
But
you're
yeah,
creating a balanced focus, right? And that's very special for high performance athletes to be able to create that balance and pursue both goals at the same time. And balance, of course, doesn't always mean that you have an equal focus all the time. I'm sure that there are some weeks where the focus is edged towards academic priorities, obviously, either midterm exams or final exams. Those tend to be academic priority time zones. And then you also have training and competition focus time zones. So that's fantastic that you're balancing it out. And what do you hope to do with your Bachelor of Commerce degree down the road?
that's a good question. I have put a lot of thought into that lately and just kind of I just want to keep my doors kind of open. So I'm going to come back for I'm blanking, my MBA.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll kind of open some doors, having a master's and getting some more experience there. Um, I don't really know exactly which field I want to go into. I'm thinking something with sales and marketing. And I guess at the start of my kind of work experience, I'd love to do something in sport because that's something that really interests me.
Yeah.
Um, so my kind of goal over the next bit is create a LinkedIn and make some connections and start figuring things out.
Where do your athletic aspirations lie in the future? And I only ask that from the sense that uh, you're very young. At your age, you're still a developing athlete on the world stage. You're still, a U23. You have the opportunity for many, many more years in the sport. What are your athletic aspirations, given that today, for those that are, and not that you're not, but for those where an Olympic hopeful bid is a strong pursuit, obviously WTS and the various nations, May 1st is now the open gateway for rankings again. I'm just wondering, what are your aspirations 3 years from now in 2024, 2028, and beyond?
Well, to
Oh,
start, I guess
before you start, did you, this is weird. Did you, I'm just wondering if one of your teammates is playing a little joke here on us, Ella. Did you share the linked information with any of your teammates for this?
possibly.
Yeah. Oh, here's someone
Oh,
coming in.
hello.
Surprise. Well, look who's that. Hi,
Hello,
Carolyn. How are
Father.
you?
I'm great. How are you, John?
Good. Perfect time to
Good.
join us. You are going to get to hear live what your daughter thinks of her future athletic aspirations. We interrupted her just to surprise her with you coming on. I played a little trick on her, so
Yeah,
that's
you
good.
Okay.
scared me for a
Uh,
second there. I was like, who's saying what?
yeah, but we're gonna hear. I want you to yeah, regroup and think about what are your aspirations 2024, 2028 down the road, athletic aspirations.
Well, starting with more this year, next year, kind of my NCAA experience. One of my big goals is to lead my team to an NCAA title, and that would be really cool. We have some strong freshmen coming in next year, and we've kind of really built a good environment here to work as individuals and a team. So I think that that is kind of a short-term ish goal over the next couple of years. And in terms of like running, I'd love to go a sub 18 5K. So that would be something that I'm kind of working towards, and that'll come with training and timing. And I think I'm going to run a one on the track in a couple of weeks. So just kind of see where I'm at. Um, in terms of post NCAA, it'd be really sweet to make a U23 Worlds team at some point.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't really know throughout COVID where I was at or what I was kind of thinking. I think the races in Florida just kind of refueled my fire for just competing and pushing myself. And I think that I've always been kind of afraid to set big goals, but why not, honestly? Because worst thing, you don't hit them and you enjoy the process along the way and soak it all in. So I think that would be kind of a bigger goal over the next couple of years, is to make that world's team and kind of get that experience. I missed out on it in junior. And I don't know how long I'll be doing competitive triathlon. I feel like I'll always do it. I'll always be racing age group somewhere, or some sort of multi-sport type thing. But if I keep healthy and keep racing, why not aim for that Olympic team? Because if I'm racing in the elites, something to strive for. So, yeah.
Good for you. That is wonderful to hear. And there's no doubt, Ella, that you should have and you do have the confidence to go after those goals and aspirations. What a wonderful answer, Carolyn. Mom, how does it feel? I'm sure that you do stay in touch, but in setting this little surprise up, you gave me the message, and you'll love this, Ella. Unfortunately, John, I don't do much parenting anymore. So how does it feel to be talking to your daughter and saying hello, even though you've probably done it lots?
It's pretty awesome, and it is honest. I feel like I don't do as much parenting as sometimes I should, and Ella knows that. We talk a lot daily, and even last night she did her usual videotaped me and put it on Instagram, which is what she loves to do. I need to learn how to do that during our FaceTime calls, and that's a goal. That's a parenting goal I need to accomplish. But joking aside, Ella definitely makes parenting look easy, especially from a distance. And it's not always easy, because when things are stressful, and they have been, I'm not saying Ella hasn't had moments of stress. That's very hard as a parent to be so far away. And you just trust that you've done everything you can, and that they know that you're here, no matter what, like no matter the situation. And so I think she's developed that trust with us, and we've trusted her. So she comes to us with a lot of little things, but when she comes to us, if it's big, she'll definitely lean on us. So we're thankful for that, for sure.
That is fantastic advice, Carolyn, especially for me, yours truly. I have a young student
Mm-hmm.
athlete that will be going off to school next year, and no matter what, he'll be away, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
halfway across the country in Alberta, or whether it's going to be somewhere in Ontario. So that's
Yeah.
great advice, and I thank you for that, because that's going to help me
Mm-hmm.
as well. Don't I hope you keep your phone available in case I need to ask you, like, what did you do when your kid did this?
Oh, yeah, no. Well, half the time I forget Ella's courses, which is not a great parenting skill, but I know that that's her job. So we've always taught our kids that that's their job, is their school. And they obviously come to us when they really need the help, and I don't ignore them. And it's in no way that I think that I'm not interested. It's just that I know that she's kind of got it sorted. So yeah, I don't know. There's no real magical recipe for that, for sure.
She did mention it, you had mentioned earlier a little bit about stress. She had just mentioned that coming home at Christmas, although she loved it and loved being around family, it was stressful for her. Can
Yeah.
you outline, as a mom, as a parent, within the family unit? Obviously, you have your significant other, husband, and
Hmm.
and and a sibling, right, Ali? Your brother? You
Yes.
have a
Yeah.
brother as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
How did you guys all manage that?
It's trying, especially with COVID. Ella had to be housed for 2 weeks here, so her 14-day quarantine, and her and her brother are thick as thieves, very close. And so the challenge was, Ella coming home. She's been used to her own, obviously, routine. She's grown up. She's a young woman. Yeah, I mean, she's been able to make certain decisions on her own that maybe we haven't even known, like that, of it. So coming in and having us around her all the time, and especially those 14 days, we all needed our own breaks. That's being very honest. Um, but it's good. Her and her brother got to spend some really quality time together. So that helps. And patience for sure, because some of our personalities in the house are very strong. And so we have different clashes, and some are oil and water, some are water and water.
And Ella, would that be you? Are you oil or are you water? Which one are you?
Oh, my dad and I are very similar. We both want to be in charge. So we get along, but like, because we think very much the same. So sometimes there's stuff my mom and brother do, and we're just like, oh. But then other times we kind of clash. So I love them all with all my heart. And it's just hard being in quarantine for 2 weeks.
Yes. Yeah.
Coming back and having exams and not being able to swim and being like, can I do this? But I can't do that because of COVID. And just right now I can go do whatever I want to a certain extent and not have to ask permission. So it's just kind of, it's a different atmosphere living at home after being away, but I
well,
love them.
different atmosphere under these very, very challenging conditions. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I can't thank you enough, both of you, for joining us. Ella, do you have any shout outs? Oh, I do want to say, like, how about any shout outs to sponsors, supporters at South Dakota University Coach, whatever it is? Any shout outs to anybody, your support network that's helped you? Who do you want to thank in that realm?
Yeah, so being a D1 athlete, I'm not allowed any sponsors. So there's no companies besides Adidas who sponsors our school.
Right.
But I'd like to say a special thank you to our athletic trainer, Zach. He's been really good. He really takes us into his hands and helps just with recovery, with anything, even just injury prevention. He's really great at dealing with our team, and he's just been really great. And he's actually leaving this year because he was a graduate student. So that's going to be sad. Also, just our whole athletic department. We're spoiled here. We really are. And it's something that I never really thought I'd experience is D1 triathlon. And just the opportunities we get is unreal. So I'm just really thankful for the opportunity to be here. And even in COVID, people say, oh, it's a brutal time. And there's still some positives, which I think is really awesome. And obviously to my coach, Kyle, he just takes care of all of us. He's like our dad here. We all don't have parents very close. So he's done a really good job at just looking out for our team and coaching us to the best of his ability in this time. So
I realize as we are wrapping up,
coaches too.
As we're wrapping up, I realize that the one thing I haven't asked you is we have a lot of uncertainty still, but will Ontario see you racing at all in the summer, or will you be staying down with the coach there to continue a racing schedule throughout the U.S.? What are your plans?
That's a good question. I was just texting my mom this morning about that, but I'm getting vaccinated next week. So I'm really thankful for that. Vaccinations are moving pretty quick here. And as of right now, I'm not really sure what quarantine is going to look like back home and whether having my vaccine or not, and what racing opportunity is going to look like here. So I signed a lease for a house that begins in June here, and school ends mid-May. So may do some couch surfing and whatever for a month and stay here for a bit if there's race opportunity. I'd obviously love to go home. Haven't seen my family since the new year, January 1st. So it'd be great to go home and see family and friends, but it's a battle because it's family and friends and quarantine or race opportunity here. So I guess it really depends kind of what opportunities we have.
Yeah. Well, again, Ella Kubas, Carolyn Kubas, thank you so much for joining Fit Live today. It was wonderful to see you. Please stay on after the live feed. We'll catch up, but can't thank you enough. Ella, you are a wonderful, confident, strong athlete that keeps progressing, and that is fantastic to see. And so for Canada and Ontario, thank you for joining us today. Thanks for being a great athlete, and we really look forward to seeing you race in Ontario, hopefully at some point this summer. And if not, we wish you all the best. So thanks again, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you so much.